wordy question, it takes a little bit of interpretation. So when we write basic chemical equations, there is a way to analyze this and to work out the equation. What I mean, I'm just gonna write down the question and we will analyze it together. So this is the question that I would like to analyze, because from some keywords here, we can identify clearly what is the reactant and the product, because how do we write chemical reactions? In a chemical reaction, we only have some reactants that react together to form products. So they're converted into products. So important, reactants always written on the left-hand side, products on the right-hand side of the equation. But how do we know which one is the reactant, which one is the product? Well, the reactant are the ones that reacted together. So in a question like this, if you haven't read it yet, please take a moment to read it. You can try to understand what is reacting, what is telling you reacts. So when there is this keyword, it reacts. What is that it? What reacts? It would be this one in this case, when sodium oxide is heated, it reacts. So react as reactant. So this tells us that this is specific, in this specific example is a reactant because it reacts to form. If we keep reading, we say to form. To form translates into that error because it shows the transformation from the reactant to a certain product, which means that to form, and then ask yourself, what does it form? That what it's formed is your product, sodium metal, in this case, and sodium peroxide. So we would have two different products for this reaction. So like this, we can look at reactants because we have this keyword like it reacts, it's converted into, it's something happens to that. And then to form normally is what directs us to the products, which are in this case, so to form what? Ask yourself, what does it form? Those would be your products, sodium in this case and sodium peroxide. So this is the analysis that you should do when you're asked to write or to complete a chemical reaction, because we can identify what is the reactant and what is the product. So to write it down, this one, we would have sodium oxide, as is written here. Remember, this is just a typo, it's just small numbers. Is heated, it reacts to form. So when it's heated, we don't write anything. It's just is a specific type of reaction where heat causes changes in that compound. But in this case, it forms what? Sodium metal, which we write as Na, just the element, plus sodium peroxide. If you're not familiar with the compound, you're going to be given the formula. Okay, you're never going to be asked something that you have absolutely no clue about, because it's something that you must have come across before. So in this case, you're given the product. Yeah, so if you got it right, I hope. Otherwise, why don't you give it a go to balance, because this is not easy. Stop me and then I will give you the solution for the balancing. And this is the balance equation. For balancing, there will be other videos to follow. Okay, but when we write down an equation, we want to make sure it's all balanced. So now let's try one more. I will write it down, the equation that you could try to do. Okay, this is the equation that I would like you to write. The important thing to start with is think about the analysis and identifying reactants and products from the words that you have in the question, okay? Because it doesn't matter how hard or how easy is the equation, it will always have reactants and products. So start with that analysis and then try to do the simple equations, the one that you are not supposed to know they're given, and then I will give you the solution. So if you did the correct analysis, this is the equation that you should get. We have chlorine as a gas, always written as a true because it's one of these diatomic atoms. Reacts with, so that with translate for that plus, sodium hydroxide, something to know. Yeah, hydroxide is always this OH minus ion. Sodium, you can always look in the periodic table to find the charge. Reacts to form. This is our clue, the Q, to find the product after that to form. Or it forms. We have sodium chloride. You are given the formula of that. Sodium chloride, again, if you're not sure about the formula, periodic table up, and that can help you finding the correct formula, because you look at the charges of the ions, and water to know the formula of as well. Okay, so there is a little balancing required, so you can give it a go if you like. And the solution is pretty simple. It's just a two here. But so the important thing about this is to interpret properly the information you're given and look for the cues like to form. It's what tells you that the reaction is taking place. So before forms is reactants, after is product. And then when you have this with, it's a plus, and means that there are more products. Okay, so this is how we can write full chemical equations from text, which is normally a couple of marks question in an exam from GCSE level, actually. So it's a skill to have.